territorial integrity.
Since the Chief of Army Staff First Quarter Conference 2017, the Nigerian Army has recorded successes in training and ongoing operations across the country.
The combined Chief of Army Staff Second and Third Quarter Conference was a platform to brainstorm on ways to sustain achievements and exploit other avenues the Nigerian Army can perform its responsibilities. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Well, back to our focus today, which is mental health, which they have defined as psychological well-being or absence of mental illness. And the theme for this year is mental health at workplace. To discuss further on this issue, I have with me the Director and Head of Clinical Service, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Dr. Gbenga Oweye. You are welcome to Panorama.
Thank you for having me on the program this morning.
Okay, can you please throw more light into what mental health is all about?
Yeah. When we talk of mental health, we can't just isolate it. We need to take it from the level of health. When you talk of health, according to WHO, it's in 3 dimensions. It's a state of physical, psychological, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of diseases or infirmity alone, which means that no health without mental health. So mental health is very, very important and crucial because it's the one that really manages others. And unfortunately, studies have shown that about 20% of the general populace, or the population of a particular place, have one diagnosable mental illness or the other.
Wow.
So if you look at it from this point of view, you now know that mental health is very, very important. Unfortunately, because of the stigma associated with it, people don't take it so serious.
Okay, let's look at some of the problems associated with it. What are some of these problems?
There are many problems associated with mental health.
Okay.
The number one on it is the issue of stigma. Because of stigmatization of those who are mentally ill, a lot of people will not want to seek for help. And the situation will continue to deteriorate. And once this thing continues to happen, what happens? To bring the person out of the problem will now become much more difficult. That's number one. Then number two is that people don't really know the knowledge. They don't know the knowledge about the gravity of this problem. That's why I said it's very, very common when you talk of mental illness. Because before you can say somebody is mentally ill, let's even look at it from that angle. An individual is said to be mentally ill when the psychological status of the individual is disturbed to the point that it's causing the person pain or those around the person pain or distress. And not that alone. And by the time the psychological disturbances is so severe that it affects the social and occupational function of the individual, then you now say the individual is mentally ill.
Now, some people have canvassed for the need for every individual to go for mental evaluation. Just like some time ago, I remember in Lagos State that if you drive against traffic, they will say you need to go for psychological evaluation. Even some people are canvassing that politicians should also do, some mental. What is your take on this?
Now, if you look at it from the place you have taken it, you may get it wrong. Because actually there are a lot of things that you need to do some psychological evaluation for. For example, pre-placement, when you are newly employed, part of the medical checkup should include the psychological well-being of the individual. Okay. For you to get a driver's license in any given country, apart from the eye test and other basic tests and knowledge, they also need to assess the psychological well-being of the individual. That's why among the elderly, they are so careful to give them driver's license because their judgment, because of the old age and all the rest, and the mental illness associated with the old age may affect their sense of judgment. So people tend to be careful. In developed world, all these are packages that are in the process of getting driver's license, and as well as pre-placement. Before you employ somebody, all these issues are supposed to be in place.
Okay.
But unfortunately, unless we imbibe the culture into our system, we won't just be taking this fire brigade approach, okay? And by the time you take this fire brigade approach, it now looks more or less like a punitive measures.
Okay.
And then also stigmatizing those people affected.
Okay.
You just arrest a driver, somebody driving recklessly, and you just say, go for mental health checkup. You know, it's somehow derogatory.
Okay.
So if you look at it from that point, it's punitive in nature. So we may not get the result. Where we're supposed to tackle the problem is at the point when the individual is being given the driver's license. Okay. All these issues supposed to be in place. Do this assessment, do eye test, do this, but are we doing it actually?
Now, you're talking about driver's license and other, other things like that. Are doctors, working with government agencies issuing out driver's licenses? Because those ones are the issuance officers. They don't have the knowledge of how to determine whether this person is mentally balanced or is mentally ill. So what happens?
Yeah, part of the thing they ought to do is set up. For example, like you said, no doctor there. I've been there to get my driver's license, apart from the person with the eye issue, okay? I mean, you just do eye test and that is all. So if you look at it from that point, there are supposed to be all these personnel in place. Those who assess, the psychologists who assess the psychological well-being, the doctors to take care of this, and then also the eyes and everything. When all these things are now packaged together, before you get the driver's license, and you know the penalty that once you do this, they can withdraw your driver's license, you are careful on the road.
Dr. Uweye, let's look at the early warnings of this mental illness. What are the early warnings?
Now, there are some early warnings that an individual may have. When your sleep is becoming disturbed, either you are not able to maintain sleep at night, or you wake repeatedly, or you wake too early, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and not being able to sleep again, you know that there are issues with your mental this thing. When you are not able to concentrate the way you used to be, you are not able to remember things the way you used to do before, you know that there are issues. When you become irritable at slight provocation or at no provocation, you know there are problems coming. When you become unduly sad and you are not happy for not just cause reason, and by the time all these symptoms are becoming becoming more complex, to the point that you are not able to function, you are not able to manage your home, you are not able to manage your office, you are not able to go to school, you are not able to perform in the school or perform in the office, you know that mental illness.
So how can you now tackle these challenges that
now
you
to
mentioned?
tackle these challenges is the prevention is the main thing.
Okay.
And how do we prevent mental illness? One is that there is need for us to educate the populace. Different communities that makes up a country needs to be educated. And that is why we encourage this media advocacy. We need to teach people. How do you recognize the warning signs? Where do you seek help? And that is why our institution, Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, who is 110 years old, as we are talking now, because it was established in 1907. Okay? That is why we are now coming up with this advocacy, to let people know that actually mental illness is around. And there is need for you to know how to recognize it and what to do on time, for you to be able to do something about it right on time before it becomes an issue. So this is one thing that we need to do. And that is why we have rolled out a program for us to be able to.
So how can one maintain mental stability or mental health? I mean, be positive. I mean,
yeah. There are many things for you to maintain your mental health. Number one, you have to recognize who you are and what you can carry. Okay? You must recognize what your ability can do. That is number one thing. You don't do more than what your capacity can carry, either socially or professionally. That is one. Number two, you must make sure you avoid the abuse of drugs. Because abuse of drugs comes in different ways. Some people sleeping pills, some people alcohol, some people marijuana, cigarette. You know, there are many. You must make sure you avoid all these things. Number 3 is that you must make sure you have a pattern and a regular pattern of sleep. Okay. Okay? Once you do this, by the time you are doing all these things, okay, and you know that definitely you are not getting results, then you need to seek help. Okay. Okay?
Well, Dr. Uwe, I wish we could, talk more on this issue of mental health, but we have to cut you short here. But we're going to have you again on our subsequent more programs. Thank you for coming on Panorama.
Thank you.
Now, viewers, we now take a break for some messages, after which the programs continues. Stay with us.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you. Ah, my shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria, and I've had it for 2 years, and it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy Made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, oh Gerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
You're welcome back. You're still on to Panorama, coming to you from Lagos Network Center. A new legal year has commenced for the Supreme Court of Nigeria as the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, is calling for the pronouncements of the nation's courts to be respected and complied with. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo reports on these and other activities that accompany the new legal year.
Attendance of the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and 3 governors, this year's ceremony stands out. The new legal year commemoration is a tradition that has been with the Nigerian judiciary for as long as it has existed. It's always an opportunity to take stock of the happenings in the preceding year as a way of ensuring that the mistakes of the previous year are not carried over to the succeeding year, which is what the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, warned against when he called on the judiciary to reconsider the length of their annual vacation. While President of the Nigerian Bar Association, Abubakar Mahmood, and representative of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chief Opoku, both stated the legal profession's commitment to the fight against corruption. But the Chief Justice of Nigeria is particularly concerned about the sanctity of Nigeria's democracy, which, he says, lies in the respect for judicial pronouncements.
Again, the pronouncements of every court ought to be firmly enforced and complied with, without exception. I encourage members of the public to cut off the supply side of corruption by stopping the offering of bribes to judicial officers.
Apart from stock-taking, the commencement of the Supreme Court new legal year is also used for the conferment of the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria on deserving legal practitioners. 29 were conferred this year.
But learning is a continual process. We're continuing to commit ourselves to the ideals of this noble profession.
We pray that our country, Nigeria, will continue to prosper.
And so for the legal community in Nigeria, this is a new year coming with resolutions. But unlike the social community, these resolutions come with timelines and specifications as to their mode of implementation. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okewu, NTA News.
Federal pensioners under the Defined Benefit Scheme have been assured of consistent and prompt payment of their monthly pension, provided they take part in the verification exercise which commenced in Lagos. Musa Tolia reports that the exercise organized by the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate is expected to last for 11 days.
The pension verification exercise is taking place simultaneously in 5 centers: Alausa, Ketu, Yaba, Amuwodofin, and Agege. Pensioners who came in their numbers at one of the centers visited in Roe Park, Yaba, were made to undergo screening in biodata, digital capturing, and verification of relevant documents. According to the Executive Secretary, Peter Sharon Ikeazo, more than 21,000 pensioners are expected to be verified during the exercise. The objective of the program, she said, is to correct some lapses detected in the old pension scheme with a view to placing pensioners on payroll for payment of their monthly pension.
Until we capture the very last pensioner, we will not stop the verification. So I'm assuring them within 3-4 months, they'll be receiving their pension payments. And bear in mind, majority of them who are here are already on monthly pensions.
The PITAD Executive Secretary also stressed that effective machinery has been put in place to come up with a secured database so that verification exercise will no longer be needed to pay genuine federal pensioners in the country.
We are glad to say that this will be the last verification ever for civil service pensioners once we have a credible, secure database of pensioners. They don't need to come out again for verification.
Some of the pensioners expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the exercise.
The process is very interesting, very good. Everybody sit down quietly. But if not the other one, anytime we go screening, they must carry some people to hospital because of the rowdiness.
The way they're operating now, presently, it is nice.
The process is very easy. I came and I do it and I'm going home now.
PITAD says pension verification exercise will be rounded off in the southwestern part of the country after the program has been taken to Ondo, Ogun, and Oyo states. In Lagos, Musa Tolia, NTA News.
Well, that's how far we can go today on Panorama, which came to you from Lagos Network Center. Thanks for being there. Good afternoon.